for amazing and engaging audience interaction. Rule number 1, whatever you ask of your audience must be directly proportionate to the amount of trust you have earned. Ooh.
Say that again.
Oh, I will. Whatever you ask of your audience must be directly proportionate to the amount of trust you have earned. Now, what does that mean exactly? Well, I have a very good friend here with me today to help illustrate the point. Everyone, please welcome to the stage, Wellness Willa. Hi, I'm Willa, and I am here to change your lives. Who here is irreparably broken? Do you have debt? Have you been through divorce? Yeah? What are the skeletons in your closet? I know you all have them. Raise your hand if you do. Well, guess what? I'm gonna fix you. Can we get Willa off the stage, please? Willa off the stage. Oh, that's my time. Thanks, guys. Namaste. Okay. We love Willa. She's my very dear good friend, okay? Willa had not earned a lot of trust with y'all yet and was asking a lot of personal questions and asking you to participate in a very aggro, albeit smiley way, perhaps. She had not earned your trust yet. She didn't know whether or not you're sitting next to your boss or a coworker. Maybe you're not comfortable revealing that kind of personal information as an audience member. And that's not on the audience to have to reveal that for your benefit. So, how do you know how much trust you have? How much trust do you know that you're walking in with? Number 1 question, are you famous? Yeah, are you? You could be. Right. So famous. Jill's so famous, guys.
Yeah, right.
So if you're famous, you're walking in with a lot of inherent built-in trust because your audience already has a relationship with your ideas, your work, what you do. Now, if Oprah walked in the room and was like, who here is irreparably broken? Well, I would raise my hand because I want to be embraced in Oprah's loving embrace and be invited to one of her really cool parties on her paid estate. We're not Oprah's, last time I checked, though wonderful. So, you're going to have varying degrees of exposure to your audiences. Maybe you are famous in the circles that you speak to. Maybe your reputation precedes you based on the work that you've done. If you're a veteran speaking to a room full of veterans, you will have a lot more credibility than, say, I will, for example. So a lot more built-in trust from jump. So then the question is, how do we earn trust? What do we do to build that trust with the audience? A few things. Number 1 is time. The longer you are on stage, the more time the audience has to connect with you, build a relationship with you and your ideas. Another way you can do this is by using the tools we've taught you here. Play actions. When you play actions, you're making the audience feel something, you're building a connection with them, you understand what this conversation is. You can use beats. It gives them time to process. It shows them that their part of the conversation is just as valuable as yours. You are taking them in. Another way to build trust is by showing them that you understand what the world looks like to them. You've taken the time to consider what life is like in their shoes. You can build trust through sharing of personal experience as it pertains to their problems. And then finally, and most importantly, you earn trust by adding value to their lives. So with this in mind, I'd like to welcome Willa back to the stage. See if she can take a nil. We'll find out. Can we get Willa to the stage, please? Willa to the stage. Everybody, welcome back Willa! Hi, I'm Willa, and I'm here to talk about wellness. Now, some of you out there may be going through a really dark time. And whether it's personal or professional, and I want you to know that I've been there. I've been there. 5 years ago, I was completely in debt. I'd lost my job, and I felt like nothing was ever going to get better. Can anybody else relate to that? Like, they've been in a position where they felt like nothing was ever going to get better. Yeah. Thank you. That was really great, Willa. You can go home now. Okay, thanks. Okay. Thank you for being so kind to our friend Willa. Very short period of time, but trust was already being built. You felt that, yes? Yes. It doesn't take much, but the consideration beforehand is always, always, always going to serve you. Rule number 1, whatever you ask of your audience must be directly proportionate to the amount of trust you have earned. Rule number 2, if you want your audience to do anything physical, refer back to rule number 1. If you want your audience to do anything physical, refer back to rule number 1. If you've been to a conference in the last 10 or 20 years, maybe you've experienced something like this. Okay, I want everybody to get up, turn to the person sitting next to them, and give them a good old shoulder massage. Oh, recognition, yes, maybe you've done this. No judges, just notice. We're learning, that was like a hard no. Yeah, our relationship to personal space has changed a lot in the last 2, 5, 10 years. Our relationship to personal space has changed a lot. COVID, for a lot of us, has changed our relationship to germs, being in public spaces, and physical touch with one another. There's also a really important movement right now happening around consent, especially as it relates to positions of power. And when you're up here, when you have the mic, you are the most powerful person in the room. With great power comes great responsibility. It's a catchphrase for a reason. So, you want to think through those physical interactions very carefully. Say I were to call someone up on stage. Say I called Kristen up on stage, and I said, okay, are you cool with me touching your left shoulder? We're in a big conference hall. I've technically followed the rule of consent, but now Kristen has 500 pairs of eyes on her, and it's going to be really hard for anybody to have the guts to say, no, actually, I'm not okay with that, with everybody watching them. So there are a couple of different ways you can go about making sure you get a volunteer that is going to be aligned with what you need for that physical exercise. The first way you can go about doing this is by being explicit in your ask. You can say something like, I'm looking for somebody who's comfortable with kicking a soccer ball and with my touching their left shoulder. Very clear, the person agrees, everybody's good. Say you want to keep things a bit of a mystery. There's nothing wrong with that. You can call somebody up on stage by saying something like, I'm looking for somebody who's comfortable with medium to light physical activity, who's up for a balance challenge. This way you get somebody who's game, and you leave a curiosity gap for your audience, creating a really nice moment of interaction for your audience. Rule number 2, if you want your audience to do anything physical, refer back to rule number 1. Rule number 3, if you ask a question of your audience, make sure you get the answer that you want. If you ask a question of your audience, make sure you get the answer that you want. Michael Port, our co-founder, you also asked me, was once giving a speech on the convention of the elevator pitch, and he was positing that the elevator pitch is no longer relevant. It's not a useful tool for entrepreneurs. And in order to drive his point home, he posed the question like this. How many of you love, and I mean, oh, that's okay. And I mean really love giving your elevator pitch? Almost nobody raised their hand, except for a few guys, probably Brian in the back.
Accurate.
Yeah, accurate. So then he said, okay, how many of you love, and I mean really, really love hearing other people's elevator pitch? Nobody raised their hands, including the guys in the back, at which point he said, if you raised your hand before, you got a problem. What he was doing was phrasing the question into absolute extremes. By saying the words and using the words love and emphasizing it, he was cutting out all of the middle possible answers to the question so that his argument was still supported. So you want to frame the question by pushing it to the extremes so that people don't have the opportunity to waffle and say, oh, maybe this or maybe that, and then contest whatever your argument is. Another thing you want to avoid doing is asking questions that are binary yes or no questions, or either or. If he had just said, or if I were to say something like, do you guys like what I'm teaching you right now? Some of you might say yes, some of you could very well say no. And then it sets up a dichotomy of antagonism with the audience that you are then having to win back everybody when you're here to make the argument and get them on your side. For example, if you're giving another binary question that isn't a yes or no, say I'm giving a talk on nutrition and fitness and how important it is for your overall health. I do not want to start the speech by saying, okay, what's more important to your overall health, nutrition or fitness? Some people, my core message is that it's nutrition. Some people might say nutrition, but then everybody that says fitness has already put themselves into another category, oh, this speech isn't for me. So avoid the binary question and push your question to the absolute extremes in order to support your argument. Are we good to continue? Yeah. Okay.
One thing.
You got it, Jennifer.
Third rule.
Mm-hmm. If you ask a question, make sure you get the answer that you want. Rule number 4. If you ask your audience for input, make them right. When you consider the risks that an audience member is taking when they choose to participate in your speech, they are sticking their neck out by answering a question, offering a suggestion, participating in a Q&A, sticking their neck out in a way that benefits you, the speaker. So it's important that we reward that risk. Now, I'm not saying to say that something is correct if the answer isn't accurate. Rather, if they offer input, make them feel like the engagement was successful. If you ask your audience for input, make them feel successful. Here's what asking your audience for input and not making them feel successful might look like. I ask you all to play along with me, please. Raise your hand. What is your favorite animal in the world? Please, yes.
A squirrel.
That's a really weird one. Okay. A rhino? That's aggressive. Anybody else? Yes. Elephant? That's also basic. Can we think of something more creative? Yes. A caterpillar. Is that an animal? Okay. You see my point? Yeah? Okay. It's kind of rude. Not kind of, it's rude. Here, judging them. Yes, we don't want that. We're trying to for your engagement. Once again, I ask you to participate. Please raise your hands. What is your favorite animal in the world? Yes.
A squirrel.
A squirrel. They're so cute with their little nuts. I love them so much. Who else? Yes.
A jaguar.
Oh, that's so fierce. I love that. They're like, ooh.
Elephant.
Elephants are some of the wisest creatures in all of the animal kingdom. I love that choice. Anybody else? Yes.
Caterpillar.
A caterpillar. I never thought of them as animals before, but you know what? I think it absolutely counts. They are so cute and they turn into butterflies. Okay. We see the difference.
Yeah.
And the second one is way more fun. Yeah? If you didn't know me, the first one would have been even more aggressive, I would imagine. Right? We don't like that. And it inspires other people to keep participating. So you're never left up here being like, oh, no, don't say anything. What am I supposed to do? It inspires the other people to engage because they know that they're taken care of and safe when they do choose to engage. Rule number 4, if you ask your audience for input, make them right / feel successful. That's my addition. Thank you.
Sorry, can you give me an example of asking them to write something?
Asking them to write something?
No,
Yeah.
right.
I'm gonna get them.
R-I-G-H-T.
Yeah.
Make them write R-H-H-T.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Writing come in.
To that point,
I did too.
to that point, we'll get there. Because there is that as well. Rule number 5. Are we good to move on? Yes? Great. Rule number 5. If you lead your audience to water, let them drink. Again, I'll ask y'all to play along. Thanks for being my scene partners here. Here's what not leading your audience to water and letting them drink looks like. What is the greatest animal in the world? Let me take hands, please. Yes.
A squirrel.
Nope, that's not it. Anybody else? Yes. Way off track, yeah?
My dog.
Your dog? Why would that be the greatest animal in the world? Anybody else? Anybody? Anybody? Yes?
Caterpillar.
Okay, now we're getting the hold again. It gets withholding and it goes, like I could keep going and y'all would want to bop me on the head out of annoyance. Like, please just tell me what the answer is. Does that feel accurate to the experience of sitting out there?
More like you're a bitch.
Go on. Okay, Jennifer. Yeah, totally. That's so fair.
Okay,
Yes.
is that nuanced? Because that sort of sounds the same as 4, so what am I missing?
Let me finish the thought and I'll come back and see if you still have the question. Does that sound good? Okay. When you're withholding information from your audience, it can get really annoying. If you have an answer to the question, Sarah, to your point, just give them the answer. So, if you were to ask the audience a question that isn't having to do with their own personal subjective experience or point of view, and you have the answer for that you want them to get to, don't withhold it and just tell them. It would look something like this. What is the greatest animal in the world? I'll take hands. Please. Hands? Yes. A squirrel, not quite it. Yes, Kristen, I saw your hand. Not a dog, though. Wonderful guess. It's fine. I'll just tell you. It's a liger. Half lion, half tiger. You get the combo together, it doesn't get much better than that. You see what happened there, though? I had an answer that I wanted you all to get to in order to further my argument. So instead of extending and burying the lead and making you all guess and get everybody off track, you tell them. That way you also don't cede control of the room.
But why even go to that?
Can you raise your hand?
Oh.
Yeah?
Sorry.
Yes, Jennifer.
Why even, can you just skip that step then?
This is less about steps and more about rules to keep in mind
Okay.
when you're engaging with your audience. Does that make sense? Hold on to it and we'll get to the end and we'll see if you still have the question. Yeah? Did that answer your question? Let's keep going. Great. So rule number 5. Is it 6? Excuse me. Lots of interruptions. I'm playing with you guys. I've got a trusting relationship with all of you. Rule number 6. Elizabeth, I apologize in advance for what I'm about to do. So, you can be up on stage really feeling the momentum and energy of the speech that you're giving, and maybe you're so excited that you suddenly feel like you need to come out and be in the audience with the people. What's happening here? What are you And what's happening here physically? Thank you for letting me get this close. I'm touching your knee. What can you see of me? Not a lot. Crotch shot.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you. That's very polite audience participant. So,
My eyes are up here.
rule number 6, if you feel the impulse to go out into the audience, respect the bubble. Even though you know me, that was deeply uncomfortable. You were comfortable. I saw some people feeling like, oh my gosh, what is happening? This is not what I signed up for. Thank you very much. Another thing that can happen, second round coming, excuse me, maybe you feel like you really just want to speak to the people and you decide, look, I'm like you. I can be, excuse me, can you move that? Thank you. Can you move that matcha, please? I don't want to spill it. Thank you so much. Sorry, Jay. Excuse me. You know what? I should go back this way, shouldn't I? Excuse me. Yeah, thank you, move, thank you. Okay. Super awkward again. And super uncomfortable. If you feel like you absolutely must go out into your audience, it should be thought through beforehand. Walk the space if you have the time and capacity to do that, or you ask whoever the meeting planner is if there is space to do that and if this is the place to do it. And respect the bubble. One other thing to be aware of. Now what's happening? You have to turn around. Yeah, it's annoying. Also, there's something about being behind people that wakes up a part of our reptilian brain that says danger. Yeah, that's the last thing we want to do to our audience, is make them feel like they're in danger. So, if you want to go out into the audience, if you feel that impulse, respect the bubble. And think it through ahead of time, is really what it comes down to in all of these other rules. Rule number 7. This has to do with the giving of instructions, so it could be writing down some sort of exercise. When you are giving your audience an exercise, do it in as few steps as possible and give an exit strategy.
I didn't hear that.
Yes. Rule number 7. When giving an exercise, give it in as few instructions, in as few steps as possible, and give an exit strategy. If I were to say, okay, everybody, I want you to go find a partner, find a spot in the room, and then I want you to tell each other what your middle name is, what your favorite band was when you were in the 9th grade, and then I want you to go and find another partner in the room, and then I want you to tell each other what you've been working on in therapy, then go back to the other partner, let them know what that person's working on in therapy, and then you're going to go back and report back to what they said to the first time. Anybody get any of that? I don't even know if I did. You're like, yeah, I got some. Not helpful. And immediately you lose control of the room. So instead, you say something like, to make very clear about when to start, you hear us say it a lot here, not now, but when I say go. That keeps everybody on the same page and lets them know, oh, something's happening. I need to pay attention to participate. Then you give them a few steps of instruction. Not now, but when I say go, you're going to quietly find a partner in the room, turn and face me for further instruction. You repeat that step by step by step so you don't leave anybody behind. And worth noting, when you maintain control of the audience and of the room, we trust you more. Back to point number 1. We feel confident and we feel safe. More willing to engage with you and your ideas. I'd like to give this a try. Oh, one more point. Exit strategy. You can introduce something like a sound. When you hear this sound, you'll quietly return to your seats. You can set an amount of time on a timer that they need to keep track of. Once that time is up, you give them the instruction, return to your seat, return towards me, and pay attention. Make sure you give what the out is so that you're not fighting for their attention and yelling over them while they're in the middle of an exercise. Okay? I would love to give this one a try right now. Everybody put your notebooks under your seats, please.
Now or when you pick up?
Y'all are some sassy ones today. Y'all took your sassy pills this morning. I love it. Now, not now, but when I say go, you are going to find a partner and a spot in the room without talking, and then turn and face me for further instruction. Go. Maybe there's a group of 3. Great. I see 2 groups of 3.
Yeah.
For timing purposes, that would be very helpful. Thank you. When I say go, each of you will have 2 minutes. Bless you. Each of you will have 2 minutes to turn to your partner and tell them something that you've appreciated about them or seen in their growth that has inspired you over the course of the last 3 months. 2 minutes each. When you hear this chime the first time, you will switch. The second time you hear it, you will quietly return to your seats. Go.
Feel that way. Thank you for the observations. But I do genuinely and I'm not familiar with a lot of your, I don't think we've been in a lot of classes, right, but I follow the track of your speech, but you as a person, and I don't know if you're recording or us today, but you as a person, energy, the light in your eyes, whether you feel this or not, and your presence. So I think that we talked about it, and trying to think of what they do is try to feel your presence. It's just a nice conversation. I had to talk to donors actually, yes. No, but it was shortly. Yeah, 5 minutes is what they gave me. How long have you had that conversation? Yeah, right.
I know that I also
No, but it's just, you said it to me.
In the chat.
right out.
Where do you live?
Right out.
We're all coming from
Everybody laughs. Something later said to
aspiration in we have to example of
And so they lift you up.
it's okay that I'm not weird. I'm supportive of you. I feel your support. And you have a certain confidence. You feel like you can
Started with us.
okay. She can say it's funny. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh, this one's done. No, right.
Well, I don't know.
But they've done these incredible things, and I feel like everybody kind of feels that way. And then we have a little talk about it. It's fine. We're fine. We're fine. Are you going to the yeah, I know.
Okay, that was pretty good. Coming back. Yeah. I would love to hear some insights.
I feel like when Paul and I were discussing with each other, we've actually learned a lot from each other through this process, and that was really cool to hear because we have somewhat similar trying to help others story, you know.
Yeah.
But learning from each other has been huge, and finding out that him and I learned from each other made a big difference for me because I had no idea.
How
So that was
incredible.
really cool to
What a
experience.
wonderful reflection. Thanks for sharing. I want to start with questions actually, and then
Oh,
we're going
sorry.
to come back and end.
That was my
That was my fault. That was your question. That was my fault. Questions. Let me see hands. I know I had a couple before. Yes, please.
I had one of the questions I had coming into today was the getting people to talk to themselves question, and how I was in a keynote where right out of the gate they made us stand up and look into the eyes of the person next to us for 4 minutes,
That's intense.
Was it marriage?
which was no. You know, the woman and I agreed to just stare at each other's foreheads for 2 minutes. Made that contract for
Yeah.
most awkward 2 minutes I've ever experienced in my life.
So your question
The
is.
question is,
Yeah.
how do you manage that, get up and talk to each other, where everyone's gonna be at a different place of comfort with that? So
Absolutely.
immediately confronts that trust thing.
I think always go back to rule number one. Is if you want them to interact with each other, how much trust have you earned with them first? And oftentimes, in my experience, maybe Russell, you can speak to this too, but in my experience, you want to take the temperature of the room that you're in too. Not every audience is going to be the same. You all have relationships with one another. That situation, oof, I wouldn't have made that choice. I hope you won't make that choice moving forward. So, reference these rules, but remember that first and foremost, what is the relationship you have with your audience? And what is that activity actually going to serve for your point? Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Great. Sarah.
I think I have a bit of feedback on that. So it almost implies that you need to have perhaps plan A and plan B.
Yes.
Because if you get to the room and the audience is a bunch of duds.
Yeah, what are you trying to say?
And you're not feeling vibe.
Yes, you don't feel like it's a place where you can actually have them engage in that
Yeah.
particular way.
And I can feel like in that situation, that might throw me off the game a little bit, like, oh shit, this is not gonna work with this audience.
Yes.
It could
I
be.
think the biggest thing with keeping these rules in mind, the whole point is to think through it ahead of time. The idea is not to come up and start making choices because you feel the adrenaline of the room and maybe you feel like they're duds. And so, oh, I've got to overcompensate, let's do this exercise. And then you're throwing everybody into an unsafe situation, yourself included. Thinking it through.
No judging that. It's the audience. I think we talked about that.
No, I know, yes, I understood though. Perfect.
Hi, my question is, I'm a walker, like I walk the room.
Okay.
And sometimes I'll probably spend like my intro on stage,
Uh-huh.
and then the most of the time I'm walking, I prep the organizers, hey, I'm gonna move around.
Okay.
But is there a rule of thumb? I know it's not, nothing is absolute, but like spend a third of your time on stage, a third in the audience, if you are a walker or a mover.
I would think of it the same way that you think of your walking and staging if you were on stage. So as long as you're being intentional with your movement and as long as it's respecting the bubble and you're not just like hanging out behind them to like pacing back and forth, I think it's your blocking and staging. That's how you think about it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay. I love extreme stupid examples. Is this why I hate wedding DJs? Because they don't ask for permission, they're just kind of annoying and
They feel like they need to hype their head. Yeah, you felt that kind of with Willa, maybe.
Very
Yeah.
awkward.
Yeah, it is.
But then like also as a wedding DJ, usually sometimes we'll try and get permission from somebody who looks stupid up there.
Uh-huh.
Give me permission to then look stupid.
Sure.
But generally that's the gist of it. And like I found that this when it doesn't work, you're yelling at the crowd just trying to get them to get out there. You know?
Sure, yeah.
Which I always find very awkward. I'm not the first person on the floor until I see you guys get out there, and then I'm like,
And
okay,
you're
I
like,
can
okay,
hide
it's
behind
safe.
a bunch of
So
people.
is your question about
I'm just observing like in a different situation. This is why I always hate that.
cool. Yeah, thanks for sharing.
My question is, what if the audience has trust in themselves? So say it's a team,
Uh-huh.
and I'm up early, and I ask of them something, they haven't developed trust with me yet, but they
Yes.
have with each other.
I would, again, I think it's case by case, but if the whole point of you being up here to speak is to build a relationship with them in order to make it clearer for your ideas to land with them, build that relationship first, and then you can jump in and build on the relationship they already have with each other. Yes?
My question is, so what I struggle with in workshops is getting people back. So that is such a handy tool.
Yes.
And this doesn't work because they're not looking towards me, they're looking at each other.
Got it.
So what are some tools, unless we invest in something like that, what would you recommend?
You know, Russell, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think auditory examples like the chime or,
Or like a
anything
clap.
like that, or
Yeah.
you could even make something fun like a sound effect. So a couple seasons ago, I'm a football fan. There was a game where the Dolphins scored like 60 points on the Broncos, which if you're not a football fan is egregiously crazy. Like that's crazy. So I was listening to this podcast, and at the beginning they set up, hey, every time you hear a dolphin sound effect, that's going to represent another touchdown that was scored against the Broncos. And so, okay, cool. In the back of my head, I know I'm going to be hearing this sound effect, and it's fun. And you forget about it. And then later on, it comes up, and you're like, oh, yeah, okay, yes, it's another one of those things. So my point being, if you set up some sort of fun little Easter egg ahead of time, like whenever you hear this noise at any time during my speech, that means snap back to attention. They're gonna forget it, but when it comes up, it's a really fun shared experience. So sound effects are really, really effective.
On your phone, even if it's, I know clap is like a very,
Clapping
but
is
like
great.
maybe like,
Yeah.
like that, or introducing that call and response.
Totally. All those kindergarten things
Like
that we
things,
learned.
yeah, are going to do nothing but serve you. Yeah, yes.
Is there a fun example?
We'll get to insights and examples in just a second. I love this, thank you. Yeah, Elizabeth.
Question on like if you're leading the, like I have a version where I'm asking people to like clap based on what they experience.
Yes.
And usually there's like a majority of the room that will go a certain way, and I kind of rely on that. Is it important to kind of say like a lower majority of the room to like kind of give them a heads up, like yes, quite a few people feel that way, to just honor the minority, and then go into why you feel like Because then I go and talk about why more than finding silence harder than talking.
I think addressing that
Should I just address it that they're the minority?
I think as long as you're not saying you're a minority.
No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, should I say, like, just let them know that it's like.
This makes sense.
I always
That
say,
this
like, yes,
I think
most of the people do feel this way.
Yes.
However, this is like.
I think addressing it that way,
Should I
yes,
address it?
absolutely.
Okay.
If that feels useful to the point that as long as it's supportive.
You guys are the weirdos over there.
I think that's what I was like, Elizabeth, that doesn't seem like you, but okay.
So, this is something I find fascinating in general. It's actually a tip for anything that is unexpected that happens in your speech, regardless of whether it's interaction, whether it's a technical thing. And it's giving yourself permission to just name the elephant in the room.
Okay.
It's the same thing with Josiah, what you were talking about, like, well, what about their relationships with each other? Name it. You could say, like, hey, I'm fully well aware you might end up partnering up with your boss or somebody you've never met before, and here's why that's okay. And here's what you're gonna get out of it. So naming the elephant in the room versus kind of trying to pigeonhole us into a shared reality that you
haven't existed
yet.
Yeah.
You haven't heard it yet. Totally. That just gives you so many issues, especially if you've got a pre-planned thing. I remember your clapping example. If you have already decided it will go this way every time, and it doesn't, you're gonna have a variety of memory. Okay, so yeah, exactly. Your muscle memory is gonna want to barrel through it and pretend like you're existing in a reality that is no longer true, because that's what you've rehearsed. The more you practice existing in the actual reality, naming the elephant in the room, you could say, oh, interesting.
Yes.
Almost every time I do this, this is what happens. So I'm so fascinated that this group has a little bit of a different makeup to it. And then all of a sudden we get to unpack what should have happened and we'll feel a little special, like, oh, maybe we're just a really special audience. Just name the reality.
That's really helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I can say, this has never happened to me, it hasn't ever. But are we gonna talk about hecklers? Like, what if you have hecklers? Is that gonna be part of it?
I mean, this is not part of this.
Yeah.
However, I think there are different ways to handle it.
Can I point out something meta?
Go
There have
on.
been a lot of little hecklers in this room. And I feel like I've seen Amaya handle it excellently. Obviously, I'm being cheeky. Nobody here is doing anything malicious. Hecklers is like somebody who's actually trying to derail or something. But again, Amaya, you're doing such an amazing job of like just being super present with it. Every single time she was existing in the reality that was happening. She wasn't pretending like a question wasn't yelled out or like there wasn't a joke being made. You were actually conversing with the audience, and if you needed to, and you did at times, you used different playing actions to snap people into focus. Like at times you were like, okay, I'll allow a little fun here. And other times you were like, no, this is not where we're going with it. Again, exist in the reality in the room, and if it's somebody who's an actual heckler who's trying to tear you down, or maybe there's somebody who is not comfortable with somebody else being an expert or a type of person being an expert. You know, this is where a lot of societal issues come up and around power and all that. That is where you can remind yourself, the crowd is rooting for this to be a positive experience. And so groups normalize each other. In those moments, it can feel like it's the whole crowd against you. Not at all. Everybody else in the room also is livid at this person for derailing the social contract that we have. And so you have much more permission than you might think you do to handle it without stooping to their energy. If somebody heckles and they come at you with an energy up here, it's aggressive, it's hot energy. A really big power move is to go all the way down here and say, I see that this is a really upsetting topic for you. And it's because it's an important issue. And that's why I spend my whole life speaking to crowds like you, because I also feel very passionately about this. And I hope we can reach a place where we see the same angle on this issue that we both feel very passionate about. It's very hard to, if somebody chooses to come down here energetically, to keep trying to drag you down. If you combat them with the same energy, that's what they want. They want to take control from you. So always, beats are good too. Someone says something malicious, it's very awkward for that person if you let there be a nice long held beat where you get to look at them, look at the audience, think about your response. Interesting. On to the next person. That silence speaks volumes. Like, I took it in, I'm not ignoring you, but I also am not going to bring this down. A couple of tips. Fighting with different energies is helpful.
Thanks, Russell.
Yeah, of course.
Have time for a couple more questions. Oh, now are we scared of me? Any other questions? Yes.
My question is about rhetorical questions. You've addressed a couple of different kinds that in mind. I have a few rhetorical questions. They really aren't meant, I'm meant to answer them.
Yes.
So how do we put that out there without just skipping over it?
Absolutely. My tack on any questions you ever have in your speech is to really ask the question of the audience. Because even if you're not looking for a verbal or physical answer from them, it's for them to ponder too. And afterwards, leave the curiosity gap. Oh, what does that mean? Here's the answer. You provide them with that solution. Does that answer your question?
So it's a rhetorical question, but
yes.
Really
ask the question. And you don't have to expect an answer in response, of course. But instead of just, I think there's a tone of voice we can sometimes take on. It's a rhetorical question, let me blow through this.
Right.
No, ask your audience the question. The question is in your script for a reason. Let them engage with it in a nonverbal and personal way in their own time and space as they listen to you. And that'll only make them lean forward and pay attention more.
Okay, and then a beat.
Yeah, a beat to process. Not every time, but if it is like the big need of it, sure. Yes.
My question is, if a joke doesn't land with a particular audience and it's a little awkward, how do you handle it? You just move on, or?
I think it goes to Russell's point. Name the elephant in the room. Well, that bombed.
Yeah.
That didn't go over like I thought it was going to. As long as you're not setting up a relationship of antagonism, it's not their fault. Just name the elephant. One more question, if we have it. Otherwise, I would love to hear insights. John, thank you for kicking us off before. That was listening to each other, learning from one another. Does anybody else have other insights, things that they've learned, aha moments from this? Yes.
So in our work, we use the chimes, and we found that it's a little like here where you say 5 minutes, and at some point people don't hear it anymore. So we have one guy, we call it, he does angry chimes, where he I would offer, depending on the audience, varying it may be a good solution because people get sort of immune to it. So having different techniques depending on how long you're with the audience.
Really interesting point. I think it's useful to definitely brainstorm and think about what's going to be most useful for your audience and keeping their attention. If it's your first time talking to them, that sound effect will probably be really effective. Maybe it becomes part of your bit and part of your signature persona, or what the performance persona that people get to know you for. And then sometimes maybe, it falls on deaf ears. You got to have a backup. Have a backup. Come get creative with those different things. More insights, aha moments, yes.
Just sharing other best practices. I think it's just good to be playful because I used to just yell at people like, bring it back, and then I went into like drill instructor mode. Right?
I don't see that for you.
So what I learned from another speaker is to use someone used cowbells. So now I do that, especially because if it's tables. I put a cowbell. I have a meeting plan. I put a cowbell on all tables. So I do it, and then like the first person that grabs the cowbell can bring it with me, and then it becomes like something fun. So yeah, just make it like something fun instead of, because I have been.
I love that.
I have definitely mastered what not to do, which is yelling.
It's like trial and error. My mom used to call us to dinner with the cowbell. She has a whole collection of them. Fun fact, yeah. So definitely get together and share tools like that with one another of fun best practices that have worked or haven't worked for you. Yeah, Sarah.
So Marja and I haven't spent a lot of time together, so we were paired together on Friday, so you said 2 minutes. 2 minutes can be a long time. And so my experience in that 2 minutes, and then I think it really extends to my experience with everybody, is it is such a generous group. And even though, like I realized I could talk for 2 minutes about just about everybody in the room, just based on our interactions, even if we haven't been in sessions together. And I think that part of that is the neighborhood of the room, and part of that is also the space that the room has created for all of us as well.
It's really wonderful.
Yeah, I just wanted to share this, if it can be helpful. It kind of speaks to Russell's point. I've had to go back to meditation through all of this because I realized, like, as I've been rehearsing the speech, to really get into the character, like, and I'm not there yet at all. Like but I'm recognizing that I need, it would be helpful for me to get back to where my feet are. Because I think, to your point, like, you really want to be in that space.
Yes.
So I just offer that, like,
Meditation,
other people have other
presence
tools,
practices.
but for me, that is something I'm working on to try to stay present.
Lovely. Thank you for sharing that part of your process with us. Yeah. Yes.
I think also speaking to his point of like knowing as the speaker you need to command the room. I was in a really awkward situation where I made a comment and I came in at a 5, which is really low for me, but I think it was received as a 10. And the rest of the questions the entire time was about what I said. And it was, and fine, whatever. But I think as the speaker, I felt like she should have said, hey, thank you for that. Let's move on.
Yes.
What new questions do we have? But it was kind of bad for her. But as the audience member, she didn't take up that space to reframe and own the room in a awkward situation.
Yeah, she didn't reward the interaction and then dragged it on further.
Yeah. And it wasn't just her, I think the audience.
Right, but as the speaker, it's her
Yeah.
responsibility to contain that situation, because she is the one with the power in the room.
Yep.
To control that situation, right? That shouldn't be on the audience to have to figure that out for themselves. I'm sorry that happened. That's frustrating. Yes, Jennifer.
My question is the other extreme of what Kristen was saying. So when we did our practices on Friday, I was with lovely Margaret and Erin, and I was emotional in different moments of my speech because it is emotional as I'm getting emotional. So if you're on the stage and those emotions come up, I know that that's okay.
Yes.
But do you have any words of wisdom for that?
Yeah, you're saying in a moment where it's not expected or just in general it comes forward and you're like, oh, I'm contending with my own feelings and I want to take care of the audience. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm comfortable expressing my emotions
Yes.
and being in them.
Yes.
But I don't want the
Audience to worry about you.
Yeah, and many people are not as
Understood.
comfortable with their emotions.
Understood.
Yeah.
I think owning it and understanding that you're okay with it is really powerful for an audience to witness. If you're worried about continuing on, great. They won't worry. And if you're worried about emotions coming up, the past 3 months have been nothing but tools, techniques, and a little framework to find yourself inside of. So if you bump up against something, okay, I'm feeling this way, let me feel my feet on the floor. Let me take a breath. Okay, what's an action I can play to reconnect with the audience and the ideas that I'm sharing with them? Because if you do get caught up and you're like, oh, there I go, I'm starting to spiral, that's about you. That's taking you out of the flow space, and you're gonna have moments of that in and out every single time you perform. How do you get back into the flow space? Play an action, take a beat, et cetera, et cetera. Yes.
I typically ground myself in gratitude, and I say, I'll give you that section and say, thank you for allowing me to have that moment of vulnerability, and I'll take a beat, and then I'll just keep on.
Love that. It's not an elephant in the room, but it's acknowledging, it's being present, it's acknowledging what's happening in the room. I love the gratitude option too. Any other insights, aha moments that you learned today? Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to kind of share a brand with my partner. And the thing that I would say is the small things that you do, a lot of times you don't even recognize them, but people will pick up on them. So I was able to share some things with her because she was like, I'm not going to have anything to say, I'm an introvert. And it's just, you know, those small things.
It makes such a difference. That's so lovely. Yes.
My question is, what if you're up there and you fully blank?
On your script?
Yeah.
On anything?
Yeah, but it wasn't right.
The question was if you blank. We're kind of mixing questions and feedback right now, which is okay. If you totally blank, you're probably not breathing.
Ooh.
Ask me how I know. Yes. When you go up on something, there isn't oxygen getting to your brain, and you're likely operating from a place of anxiety. Today, there were several moments where I went, what's next? I took a breath, I took a beat, I came back. Because I've done my work to know what I'm talking about. I have my framework in place that I can lean on and trust. And even if it's not exactly the right word that was supposed to come after that word in this exercise, okay. Because of the way that you are learning your material and have been learning it over the past 3 months and now understand how to approach every speech with moving forward, you are full body learning it and not just memorizing it and drilling it. It's a very, very different process, as you know. We have a break now. Thank you all so much for your participation. Woo!
Thank you.
I saw you this morning. No walking.
I'll walk